Sorry. I was literally recording a video, and I was like, "Oh shit, it's fucking 8 o'clock." I was on a good tangent too. Not, but the video's too long. Sorry. Good morning, everybody. I'm disjointed. I literally was wrapping up a video. What the fuck? I was wrapping up a video, and my brain was like, "It's 8 a.m." And I was like, "Oh shit, what's up?" So, good morning. This is Justice's Waiting Room. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. My name is Jared. I'm your host. Hey, just so everyone knows, I'm not a libtard. I'm not, I wouldn't even call myself a leftist. That's silly. I'm a straight up socialist. Look, I just want everyone to have universal health care, universal education, universal housing, income, $500 every Friday. Sound good? Okay. There's pathways to it. Okay. Sorry, my hat's low today. I have a zit in the middle of my forehead, and this just happens to block it completely on both my phone and here we are on YouTube live. So, for again, basically 6 months now, every day, we've sat here for 90 minutes and talked about news and politics. Um, Good morning, Cece and Debs, and hey, Bob. How lucky are we? Angie. Okay, what's up, Crush? I made such a good fucking video too, you guys. You'll be so fucking proud. With a big ass zit in the middle of my forehead. Um, Ran us all the way into the podcast. Okay. Here's a little Edwin Stars War. Our new pope is critical of Donald J. Trump, and for me, that's a fucking W. Okay. Oh no, Bob said sick kid roller coaster. Oh no. Okay. I'm not religious. I know some of you are, so I don't know what to say when you elect a new pope. Sorry for your loss. Congrats on the gains. Um, yeah. And again, as long as they ain't bending the knee, kissing the ring, or licking no boot, I'm Gucci. Okay. Kids in Texas, by the way. Okay, so they got out of state. You got safely escaped. Um, but yeah, I wanted to go over again. I know that for those of you that take in my content, it's probably not a great ride to like sit through a live show, talk about something, and you watch content and it's the same shit. But this is important, so I'm gonna say it on my yeah. I'm gonna say it on my podcast and in my content. Okay. Yes, a thorn in their side, Bob. Nothing he can do about it. What's he gonna do? Demand they fire the Pope? So lately, a lot of content creators that I follow have been starting to quote uh, the Reverend Martin Niemöller. Okay, and I'm not making fun of anyone. This isn't me making fun of someone. Okay, he's gonna sue the Pope. Crush said Donald Trump can't fire him, so he's gonna sue the Pope. Okay, So I want to draw a similarity between MAGA and Martin Niemöller, and proffer a choice upon MAGA. So you can go down as the dumbest motherfuckers ever to have existed. That's choice A. Stay MAGA. Okay? Or you can look at Robert Niemöller, who everybody knows his confessional that he published in 1948. First they came. First they came for the socialists and the trade unionists and the Jews, and they came for me, right? There's no one left to speak for me. Blah 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 blah. Because I wasn't none of them people. Okay. And like most religious leaders, he was conservative. Okay. And so that is called a generalization that is accurate, actually, historically. Yeah. He's a national conservative. Initially, he was a supporter of Adolf Hitler's. He actually voted for him 24, 28, and 33. Okay? So he was a supporter. Long story short, he founded the Confessing Church. Okay? Which basically where people would go to speak out against the Nazi regime. Okay? He wound up, I mean, this is somebody that supported Hitler, that was imprisoned, put in concentration camps, and he came away from escaping execution, and he survived. And he was kind of asked what he regretted about the situation, and it was that he didn't do more uh, to help the victims of the Nazis. And he turned away from his earlier nationalistic beliefs and was one of the initiators of the Stuttgart Declaration of Guilt. Okay, so a historical document, right? Long story short, it confessed guilt for its inadequacies in opposition to the Nazis and the Third Reich. So I've had people reach out to me and say, "What's it going to take for someone that's MAGA to um, be a part of your life?" It's going to take some sort of declaration of guilt. It has to be a statement delivered by you where you feel some type of way for the decision that you made and the weight that it carries. Understand that you don't know first they came because it's a good quote. That's not how quotes work. You know it because from the 1950s on, Robert Niemöller was a vocal pacifist and anti-war activist and the vice chair of the War Resisters International, which is an international anti-war organization with members and affiliates in over 40 countries from 1966 to 1972. He also met with Ho Chi Minh during the Vietnam War and was a committed campaigner for nuclear disarmament. Now, I didn't like write a paper on him or nothing. This is just say it. Just say you feel really fucking guilty for voting for him. Just say it. Just say you feel really fucking guilty for voting for him because holy shit. That's all you gotta say. And then spend the rest of your life trying to do an nth of what the Reverend Robert Niemöller did. Like a fraction. Talk about powerful. You don't know that quote because it's a good quote. You know it because he survived a lot and he had an office in a bunch of buildings. Eventually they're gonna ask you, say something. Put it on a wall. Went on tour around the world to condemn the Nazi cause and educate people about the importance of human rights. So he went from being a Nazi supporter to being someone who went around the world and educated the world about it because he felt like he didn't do enough to oppose them the first time. So remember, I haven't got on here for the last 6 months and shat on MAGA. You know exactly how I feel. I don't mince my words. But if you needed, I don't even look, when you start to say I'm empathetic towards Trump supporters because I know they were deceived, you're giving another person way more space than they'd ever give you, way more credit than they'd ever give you. You know, one of the things I would warn everyone is keep your fucking circle tight, small. I'm sorry, I'm in a mood today. When I first video I saw this morning was that video of that ICE raid in Worcester where the neighbors were outside when ICE showed up. So ICE was outnumbered and they called for police backup and like 30 cops showed up in full-blown body armor to arrest one person. So the city of Worcester paid for that arrest. One woman. Do you know how much it cost? Especially when that entire police department is now party to kidnapping and trafficking. So, if everybody would direct your attention to please to the very visible crime right in front of your fucking face, where we'd seen some um, plainclothes people, even plainclothes with body armor, show up with a single piece of paper and take a person, right? Now you're seeing ICE show up in a residential neighborhood. When they get out, as soon as they get out of their car, they realize there's like kids playing in the street and shit. There's a barbecue going on, like because they've been deputized by the U.S. Marshals at the behest of Elon Musk. Remember? And I was thinking about this morning, like who would even do this work? Who would even sign up to be an ICE agent right now? And it's exactly the people that were kicked out of the military and police departments for breaking rules. Because think about it, who they possibly couldn't know that what they're doing is kidnapping and trafficking potentially American citizens to potentially their deaths. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know about you. But in the hierarchy of jobs I'd ever do, that's like at the fucking bottom, man. Suffice it to say, I'd rather muerte than be an ICE officer. That's what I'm saying. How do you sleep at night? How do you have relationships with your children or your spouse? Ma'am, how are you fucking that guy? Dead ass. How let me ask a real question. Ladies, does kidnapping and trafficking do it for you? Does the mistreatment of people that you perceive as lesser than you, does that do something for you? For real? Couldn't catch me in the same fucking room. Fuck we talking about? And I want to make sure that I continue to point out that somebody doxed a bunch of ICE and they were all one of them runs a prominent white supremacist Twitter page. So again, as I said, so who would actually do that work? Who would actually sign up and do that work? The kinds of people that wash out of organizations with stringent rules, like police and military. And again, ACAB, fuck the police, but still, like on the whole, most police are just standing around with their hands in their pockets, letting all the bad shit happen. You know? Yeah, Gabby, that's what I'm saying. Like, how could you not be weeping that this is your job? You know what I'm saying? And again, I just want to point out, if you have literal any other job in the military in the world other than being an ICE agent, dude, go to work with some fucking pride today. At least you're not an ICE agent. Because holy fuck. Brother-in-law is retired Air Force. Kept kind of recruit my kid and get assigned for National Guard. Yeah. Here's what I know. Long time in a galaxy far, far away, police didn't exist. Okay? What they were called is Runaway Slave Patrol. And ultimately, as their role changed, they were largely just there to protect property and patrol property and to keep the riffraff off the property. Largely, they were just there to keep people from breaking onto their plantations to free slaves. Okay. Now, do I think they have a role? Yes. Do I think they should have a prominent militarized role in which they are aiding ICE in the illegal kidnapping and trafficking of American citizens? Fucking no. I expect there to be some kind of report coming out very soon from the powers that be in the police force in the United States where they say, hey, you know what we're not going to do? We're not going to accompany ICE in its illegal raids. We're going to need to see some due process. Just like El Salvador is doing. By the way, who initially, I want to point this out, initially they were Team Trump, right? So there's a reason I bring up Robert Niemöller and what happened in his life and what is happening with the couple hundred people, maybe less than 300 people that got trafficked to El Salvador. Yeah, but Kelly, the guy that came to the United States and sat next to Donald Trump, yeah, he's the one saying, I think we need some due process here. So, what I would, as a general rule, say is mamas don't raise your children to be cops or ICE agents. So, whatever you allow them to become, as long as it ain't that, I'm good with it. I don't give a fuck what you do. Yeah. But Kelly realized that he's going to The Hague like yesterday. If he uses those people that the United States kidnapped and trafficked and sent to El Salvador, if he uses them in a bargaining piece with another country for political prisoners, holy shit, what kind of fucking crime is that? Mm. And we need to support Chris Van Hollen and make sure we say his name. The American Israel Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, is targeting Chris Van Hollen. Remember, Chris Van Hollen was one of just 15 senators to support Bernie Sanders' resolution to stop funding um, arms sales to Israel. Okay. And again, as we are want to do every single fucking day, free Palestine. What is happening in Gaza is a genocide by the IDF at the hands of Benjamin Netanyahu. I just want to point out that I'm not going to do it 2 fucking days in a row, but there is high def video of IDF raping prisoners. Full high def video. And they're using their riot shields to block the view while they take turns. They do this shit. See what I've noticed a pattern. They do all this horrible shit, horrific shit in Israel, and then it transitions back to the United States. It's like the levels of depravity that they'll stoop to in Israel, it comes over here. It permeates our culture. And yeah, I've also seen a little bit of whispers of impeachment coming. Remember the name Al Green from Texas? He's noted. Yeah, Zeke. Remember, it's just like I fucking told you. Do not, do not bend the knee, kiss the ring, or lick boots. Because again, how would you sleep at night if you're party to this? If you're the family member of an ICE agent, like how are you sleeping at night? How are you not begging your child to not go to work tomorrow? Begging your husband, begging your parent. I pick up Al Green with this cane will live on forever. Yeah. Yeah, there's a second video of the gotta share some good news too, right? Becca said, "How is this the party of religion?" Right? Never mind the separation of church and state, right? How it was never intended to be, politics was never intended to mix with religion. Because think about, and I'm just being real, read your Bible. It's fucking horrifically a violent book, is it not? Shearer, Thanadir, Jared had 7 articles of impeachment to Congress. Yikes. But here's marine litters down by 1/3 on the EU coastline. I think that's important. Which means we're just eating the plastic instead. Yeah, but here's the. So it didn't make it over to the other channels. He called the new pope a radical never Trumper liberal. Couldn't be sexier. Thanks, Don. What are we talking about? He's gonna have so much fun as pope. Marxist. What is a Marxist? Oh, trickle down economics. Yeah, I'm not a Marxist. Thank God. I don't believe in equal distribution. That's stupid. Thank God. Okay. I'm not a Marxist. That's silly. You got to have a mixed economy. You already live in a mixed economy, ding dong. You got to believe in democracy cuz you live in a democracy, ding dong. Jesus. I'm a socialist in that I believe our fucking tax dollars could be better spent providing us with fucking healthcare, education, income, and housing. How we could just be pro equality instead of whatever the fuck this administration is, which is jack the fuck up. I feel really bad for all my LGBTQIA plus friends. The Legibitiqua, you are welcome here. I didn't even think about it, the fact that the Pope was American or not, until somebody brought it up. They're like, they elected an American Pope, you know? And I was like a South American? And they were like, no, he's, oh, okay. Well, he did his shit in Spanish and fucking Italian, so. Nah, the dude knows multiple languages. He's not Donald Trump. Kristi Noem's already out of money. Yeah, I didn't think about the Pope being, he's from Chicago. Hey, I'm from outside Chicago. I'm from Geneva. Yep. Because remember, they're going to shift their focus right about the time you zero in on whatever the fuck they're doing and think you got them. You went to Villanova. See, I can't go to a college that's not good at sports. You know what I mean? Villanova is just bad. I guess they're good at basketball. So they kind of got a black coast parents. Someone's Haitian. Oh, okay. Woke Marxist Trump. For the record, woke doesn't. We should probably talk about the definition of woke because I get the feeling that people don't know what that is. For the record, one of the things that white people do is they steal culture. So, one of the things about using woke as a slur is that woke is African American culture. So that makes it racist. And how fucking predictable of Donald Trump is that? And all of his ilk. Um, but the definition of woke or it originated in African American vernacular English to describe awareness of an action taken against radical injustice and other social injustices. It evolved to encompass a broader range of social issues, particularly those related to race, gender, and sexuality, while originally used to describe those who are alert to injustice. The term has become increasingly associated with a more general awareness of social issues and a call to action. Um, so yeah, I'm not fucking sleepwalking through this. What the fuck are we talking about, right? And he's Venezuelan. Okay. Publicly criticized Vice President J.D. Vance, expressed sympathy for immigrants and for George Floyd, and he was a dark horse. Trump chief strategist Steve Bannon warned about Prevost's views, claiming he would be a poor choice for the MAGA movement. And then everybody's gonna ask me like, "Have you seen this man?" Yes. This guy go viral. Yes. Yeah, I never, for the record, from the time I ever heard woke, it was like, it sounds weird coming out of a white person's mouth. And then once you learn about what is woke, hmm, and then as I've said, as I don't know if I've said this before, yeah, I people don't speak to me like they apparently speak to everyone else on Earth, and that I don't have the same conversations everybody else is having. Clearly, um, not only would I not allow someone to speak to me, oh, you're just woke, or like we aren't having an audience. I'm not I'm not listening to you talk if there's a shred of a chance of you insulting my action, like what I do. Justice's waiting room, sit with you every day, discuss the news and politics, try to make try to make headway through all of this madness. There's about 20 total people. I'm so happy it's from Chicago. Yeah, it takes a great deal of empathy. There's a lot of kids in Chicago that are just kind of forgotten. Yeah, if you yeah, and don't get me wrong, isn't today that event in Russia? What's going on in Russia? Let's look up world news, see what we got going on. Maybe we didn't. Check Twitter or something. Isn't Dictator P having a parade or something today? Oh, would that be happening right now? Oh wait, did Donald Trump come out with a trade agreement yesterday? Oh, it was just concepts of a plan. He didn't actually have a tariff plan. The US will stop tracking the costs of extreme weather fueled by climate change. I wonder what that tells you about the costs of climate change. And remember, the President of the United States, what he does is when he hears something that he doesn't like, he just decides that organization shouldn't exist anymore. The NOAA. So, what does that mean? The cost of climate change is exploding, right? There's reason he saw the data and was like, "Oh shit, get rid of him, get rid of it, get rid of it, bury that under the." Robert Prevost. I'm not religious, so it's cool your cult got a new cult leader. Who's buying Range Rover? What a bargain. Yeah, I always, what's funny is I always wanted a Range Rover. Are they cheap now? What or what? Again, apparently there is a Palantir protest on May 9th in Denver, Colorado's. Palantir builds the AI tools that power ICE's brutal raids, surveillance networks, and deportation machine. They profit while our communities suffer. They fuel family separation, detention, and state violence. Join us in the streets. Defy, disrupt, dismantle. May 9th, Colorado State Capitol. Hey, it's a worthy cause right there. Yeah, he didn't do a deal. For the record, there's a reason I asked about, like, oh, where was the trade deal with the UK that was supposed to be yesterday? Oh, he didn't have a trade deal. He had like a semblance of a plan. Okay. So what I'm reading so far in terms of the India-Pakistan war is heavy drone usage and attacks on defense infrastructure. Yeah, so many concepts. Yeah, he didn't have a plan. He hadn't agreed to anything. So I just want to point out, he said he would have he had plans with 200 countries. He forced them into the negotiating table. And and then it was 90 plans in 90 days. And then we're like most of the way through 90 days and he's produced zero fucking zero new trade agreements. Getting kind of boring, Don. Not gonna lie, I'm bored. But yeah, on June 14th, yeah, that's what he said. He had deals with 200 countries. He has not yet to produce a single one. Okay, just want to make sure we're telling the truth. Yes, I saw they're putting bills forward and all that stuff that are not gonna pass. So what was the big announcement? That Gabby, Gabby, that was the big announcement. The big announcement was that he had details of a plan. He had an outline of a plan. He's a busy guy. He's got to play golf 3 or 4 times a week. So you got to think about pirates. Yeah. You trying to put McDonald's on the Air Force One? Yes. Exactly. So I'm just saying, instead of all this bullshit, we could have the American Socialist Party. We could have someone in office trying to put bills forward that fundamentally save healthcare, that save education, that save us from homelessness and give us universal income, rather than give it to Elon. because him and Donnie are gay besties. Yeah, Dementia Don. Okay. So of course he doesn't have a plan. Of course he didn't get a deal done with multiple countries. Of course he's gonna run all the way blow through that 90 days and not have produced a single trade agreement with anyone. With anyone. And I feel like this is a massive operation being done on the United States where this is supposed to embarrass us. It's supposed to make us wake up and take a stock at what this is what a lifetime of I don't want to talk about politics has done to us as a generation. You know, it's one of the reasons that I get on here every day and discuss news and politics is because too many people are afraid to. You know why? Because their politics involves sacrificing people that they deem lesser than them so that they can live in relative the same situation that you're in now. It's not going to get better for you. Okay. Oh, Sea Crush. So yeah, I just want to point out it doesn't have to be this way. And a lot of people have said, yep, it's understandable. A lot of people are, I don't want to talk about politics, but once you start thinking about politics, you realize how impactful it is and how it affects everyone. I mean, they're taking 20% of your pay cut. You might want to have a say in what they do with it. You know what I mean? If somebody was stealing 20% of my money, I would want to know what the fuck you're doing with my money. Right now, your money goes to billionaires, largely. Like 90 cents of every dollar goes to a billionaire. So, so yeah, a couple of days into a war in India and Pakistan, and it's mostly drones and attacks on defense infrastructure. Okay. I'm just glad it's not ground pounder on ground pounder, you know what I mean? I don't really want to be doing that shit. Not in drone territory. Who wants to be Bob the Gay Superheroes? Hey Anna. Nearly 60 cases. The ambiguously gay duo. Yeah. I mean, I just want to point out the lengths we go to for the people we love. Okay? On January 17th, 2025, there was a space shuttle crash. You saw it over the night sky. And 3 days later, Donald Trump was inaugurated and immediately fired the FAA people that were investigating that. The things we do for the people we love, right? And then they've continued to destabilize the FAA, making it literally unsafe to travel, all to cover up Elon Musk's multiple space shuttle crashes in the last 6 months. Think about what I just said. There weren't people in those aircraft. They were unmanned. Thank goodness. But if I told you that there were two fucking space shuttle crashes those would be the biggest news stories on Earth if it hadn't been completely killed by the media, by Elon Musk, Donald Trump. They wanted this swept under the rug because there's gross fucking incompetence. And remember, through all of this, Elon Musk wants to put human beings on Mars. They literally want to take the people they don't like and put them on a spaceship and send them to Mars, where they will surely die. Just, I mean, think about what these billionaires are trying to do. They're literally saying you can either agree with me or I'm going to consider you my political opponent. I'm going to build a prison. I'm going to or have you arrested and jailed in it and turned into a slave, and I'll make you do whatever I want you to do. That's what these billionaires ultimately want to do. All to stay in power. There's a reason that I was like, you know what you need to do when the billionaires that bought this election are showing you their whole ass and just showing you they're 100% going to invest in prisons, arrest and imprison their detractors, stick them in their private prisons, and force them to do labor for them. That's what they're trying to do. And the thing about it is there's so many people that are in straight up fucking denial. Nuh-uh. And look what Donald Trump has done in Dubai with his resort. And again, I'm going to keep talking about it. Donald Trump conned hundreds of people. I'm pretty sure they were all from Myanmar to come to Dubai to build his resort. And when they got there, they confiscated their papers, stuck them in group housing, hundreds of people in a single building, one toilet, one shower, that kind of badass, horrible ass shit. And they charge them more a day in rent than they make to work. And you can't leave. So you're just trapped in this hell. Imagine going there, right? Imagine you're that fucking, like, asleep, right? Why do you think his team is so small? Didn't he just appoint Janine Perro? Yep. They're absolutely building private prisons, imprisoning people they don't like, and forcing them to work for them. All to stay in power. hmm That's why I'm not a capitalist. Look what it leads to. It leads to extreme wealth for very few, while everyone else lives in relative squalor. And what will they do? Scratch and claw to stay in power. They will put themselves in atop your political food chain. They will invest in private prisons, and they will arrest. They've literally arrested their detractors already. Multiple of the people that have been kidnapped and fucking trafficked, or at least threatened to, even though they've gotten their day in court and they're back in the safety of their families and their communities, were people that were outspoken against them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I just want to point out how many casualties, how many people have actually died. Now, there have been people that have died and they've covered that up. But how few people have died shows me the overall cowardice of men, of he who would seek the highest office in the land to keep himself out of jail, and then will absolutely backstab fucking everybody. Everybody can get it. Where they're trying to take it all from themselves and trying to enrich themselves while in office. We could just have health care. We could just have universal education, income, and housing. We don't have to live like this. We have chosen to live like this. Oh, and oh, by the way, I want to point out all of the people that have talked about or threatened violence against the state and the all of zero violence that they've committed to this day. So I just want to throw this out there to all of you that are like, yeah, it's all fucked. Again, the President of the United States ordered the kidnapping and trafficking of people that he doesn't like to CCOT, which was closed in 2019. That shit isn't even like an open prison. There's not like a registration desk and admin and all that shit. There's not that. I understand what you're saying, but what's hilarious about Project 2025 is that apparently being most of the way done implementing Project 2025 was 5 total pieces of legislation, one of which banned fucking paper straws. One was a continuing resolution, so that leaves us with 3 additional pieces of legislation. One of which is the Laken Riley Act, which called for the detaining of anyone suspected committing a crime, especially if they're suspected to be an immigrant. And I just wanted to point out that one of the pieces of legislation that Donald Trump signed into law, he broke the Laken Riley Act. Where does that leave us? 2. There's 2 additional pieces of legislation that actually worse have been signed through his first 100 days in office. Uh-huh. So I want to make sure that we're saying, because I don't like it when my friends are scared, and I've asked before to let me be your barometer, but know that there are some of the things that he's made executive orders on that have become bills and that are going through uh, right now. Okay, and know that they have to have a supermajority to pass. So all of this stuff, they're trying to clog the courts and shit. Um, yeah, the courts say there's no justification. Yeah, there's no justification. It's all crime. And understand that the president is not immune. These are not official presidential acts. Connection successful. Are everybody good? Yeah, it was telling me it was about to drop my connection. It's wild. And then it came back. But yeah, make sure that you keep your head on a swivel, keep your ears and eyes open, stay awake, aware, and alive. Okay? But yeah, I'm sort of in an odd mood today because I watched that video of the Worcester police aiding ICE in arresting one person. And all I could think about was the labor cost. Because I've been in charge of a team of people before. I've worked not only while I was on active duty in the military, but when I came home, I worked security, armed and unarmed security at events, and worked as part of a team and worked as a team lead, right? And all I can think about is why the fuck did it take 30 people in body armor and armed to take one person into custody? And one of the reasons that it was particularly difficult to arrest her is she had her newborn with her, right? And again, I want to point out like the lack of empathy towards these victims, right? The lack of empathy is what is astounding is how do you just stand around with your hands on your hips? You know what I mean? And you know what? I can tell you. I'm going to talk helly shit about my neighbors, okay? My wife and I had like a tumultuous fucking time about 4 years ago when we got these goddamn dogs, okay? Edmund and Pam are the sweetest little boys. Curious if, as a vet, you carry daily. No, I'm more cocksure than that meme. I've never felt the need to carry a firearm. I've if I'm anything, I'm a pacifist and a anti-fascist and I'm anti-violent and anti-gun. And I think the worst thing you will ever do, I always tell people I ain't no fucking war hero, but I know some. And you know what they've done a lot of shit, but the thing that them boys that I know that are fucking war heroes, the thing that they take back is every pull of that trigger. Every single fucking pull of that trigger. I'd take it all back. And that's what multiple of them said, separately in private, small conversations. And these are guys that had been on multiple deployments to Iraq and put down many, many bad guys that were trying to kill them and their friends. And every single one of them told me in private, small conversation, heavy is the head that wears the crown. It doesn't matter that I'm still here, that I won, that I can leave a legacy and have a family and none of that shit. It doesn't matter. None of that shit matters. I should be buried in the desert somewhere. I died in the desert. Many of those boys told me that they died in the desert. And now they're just like a husk. So I've always been like super fucking thankful that I didn't have to go and do the will, right? I've always been pretty incensed when people imply that because I was in the military that I work for billionaires, right? I was on a ship. I was aboard the USS Baton. Like, I get it. I get it. Everybody wants to take their jabs. And the thing I realized is the people that are mean to me, right, are the people that couldn't have stood where I stood. Couldn't have done what I did. Didn't have it in them. But what I learned as a result of getting like super close to the front line, tip of the spear, doing the damn thing, 2-2 was the most combat deployed unit in Marine Corps history. Them boys had seen it. And every single one of them was like, I don't want it. You can have it. And you wonder why they don't talk about it. You wonder why they brain themselves. Imagine working as hard as we work on active duty, going and doing your damn job over and over and over and over and over again and getting done and getting on the point where like it's kind of shit or get off the pot time, buddy. You either got to be like an NCO, get a real job in the military and switch and extend your contract, or you got to get out and go home, right? Because your contract's up, right? And a lot of them boys didn't want to be leadership. I just want to get a regular job. I don't have to lay that iron no more. Do those deeds no more. And you should have seen the way they act towards their wives and kids. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people, it's like it's part of who they are and like stuff that they went through, and it's just a job and shit like that. And that's, for the record, that's kind of how I'd seen it. And I am not calling myself a combat veteran by saying like I had gotten shot and shot at before I joined the fucking Marine Corps. So the whole love affair with the shooty shooty bang bang game, I fell out of love with that shit before I ever even put on a Marine Corps uniform. Where I thought of it more as a job. Hmm. And so when I came home and I realized that my wife and I lived in downtown Indianapolis, like 16th and Downey, 38th and Emerson, 71st and Binford, like in the city for 20 years. Never had a fucking problem ever. And like I said, when my wife and I bought this house, my wife said something about we ought to, get a little piece of the resistance, like something to in the house. And we went to go buy a gun, and I'm one of those people. I don't know if you've ever read this book. But it has come up so many fucking times in my life. This is not an ad. It's just a book. That's the anniversary edition, okay, of The Alchemist. But I'm always got my eyes open for signs, reasons to do or not do something. And again, I had had my hands on a gun my whole life, as long as far back as I could remember, even before basketball, before football. Thank God for basketball and football. So I'm not obsessed with guns, right? Because they're always making something newer and better and shit. And I can't imagine paying my money to buy something that's going to get outclassed, right? I'll buy the best I can buy when I need it, right? But again, I would be anti gun if everyone that didn't look like me was in trouble, right? Was in danger, you know? And I'm not saying to arm yourself and resist arrest. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying, though, we are getting very dangerously close to having to have a conversation about why are the police aiding ICE who are kidnapping and trafficking people and who are not getting due process. Part of being in the United States is everyone gets due process. So this whole getting arrested and flown to a foreign country in the middle of the night, this shit specifically, not not allowed. And I want to point out, he is flying motherfuckers all over the place, not ending their lives. What he's doing is he's creating living martyrs. He's giving people who you otherwise didn't know, who otherwise didn't know. Bob said that's why I chose firefighter over PO. And you get all the flowers in the world, Bob. You meant PD or whatever. Yep. Now, I talk about frequently my family being in law enforcement. My mom's brother was a chief of police in Rising Sun, Indiana, which was the first place in Indiana to get a casino, a land-based casino, the Grand Victoria. And before that, Rising Sun had been a trafficking point for illicit drugs from Ohio and Kentucky into Indiana. And my cousin and my uncle Frank and his sons have spent their law enforcement careers cleaning submersibles full of drugs from the Ohio River. Hmm. That's what they fish the Ohio River. They hunt down there in that area. Okay, in that little tri-state area. Okay, they're more of like a true conservative, right? Somebody who wants to preserve their environment, right? Somebody that's in touch with the land, that hunts and fishes it, that trevises it, Is that the correct word? Yeah. Right. And also their job is to do shit like clean up the meth and whatever the fuck their pills they're trafficking across the Ohio River. And you know what I know about true law enforcement? How infrequently they use their firearms. Hmm? In fact, Scott, my cousin who worked for the DEA, and he's been in like Maxim magazine. He's a bad motherfucker. Um, he had to stop carrying a firearm because he was frequently in situations where it was literally too hot to be carrying a weapon because he's doing like drug busts and shit. Hmm? Yeah. So think about when I tell you tip of the spear, DEA, FBI, drug trafficking, stopping that shit, right? And the people right there at the tip of the fucking spear are the ones that wear the crown, right? And they'll tell you like in approximately 1/2 of 1% of times a firearm is necessary. 1/2 of 1% of the time that I go out, and that's over the course of your career. So you're talking about one or two incidents in your whole career that a firearm was necessary, and all the rest you could have used a shovel or rope or a trauma kit. Mostly just a trauma kit. You know, one of the things that my buddies talked about was not they were so reliant on corpsmen that and they weren't fluent enough in first aid and they couldn't tell what was wrong with their buddy, right? They didn't understand certain medical things that are happening in the line of fire to people. We talked about it the other day. Tunnel vision, fog of war, shock, right? Mm, mm-mm. Bob, I'm gonna read that. All cops in my family. I'm the first firefighter since the 1800s. All the cops left the force to become carpenters and truck drivers because of the force, not the public they served. Yeah. And you remember when I called the police because I was talking with a police officer and I asked him to send multiple units out to my house? Yes, Angie, I did see that. Yep, they're testing the limits. They're daring you to do something about it. Yeah, happy Friday. But yeah, multiple police officers came out to my house right after the election, and I told them that I felt that Donald Trump's election will spurn a wave of white supremacist activity, white nationalist activity. And I want to make sure I look multiple police officers in the eye and say, "Hey, baby girl, you're in danger." And I hope that you're not a part of this. I hope you're not a part of this. And I looked multiple men in the eye. Was like, I hope you're not a part of this. But I'm afraid for your life. And it ain't me. I don't own a gun. I'm not on your team. I called you to my residence and I'm making sure I'm standing in front of multiple cops and saying like I'm not the bad guy. But I'm letting you know you're in danger. Hmm. As a police officer, anti-police sentiment all-time high, a lot of activity, white supremacist, white nationalist activity, and these are going to be guys you work with. What are you going to do? And cops stand in my driveway are wiping tears away from their eyes because they know I'm fucking right. And I hope I radicalize the fuck out of those 3 police officers in my driveway. They're all married, all have kids. What are you going to do? And then they said, call us if you need us. I was like, okay, we just letting you know. And this was the week after the election. Hmm. Because I have a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. I don't want to become a target, right? So I told them I can predict. I'm not like Nostradamus. It's pretty obvious, Captain Obvious. But hey, if you're a law enforcement and you're not MAGA, you're in danger. You got among your ranks, you got people that would turn on you in a heartbeat. It's not so much like that in the military. I know everybody always wants to ask. We were much closer. I can't tell you how many weddings I went to, how many barbecues I had been to at people's houses. I would go barbecue hopping when I was on active duty. I can't tell you how many bedrooms I had in people's houses, how many people begged me to stay, how many I can't tell you. It was a great fucking time. I'm not one of those people to not talk about my time in service, and I'm also not one of those people to bitch, right? Yes, there were fuck games. Oh my god, what the fuck? Being a Marine, like the day job part, suck a dick. Okay? It was about like what were you doing outside of work? I was doing the fucking thing outside of work. I was having a goddamn ball. Yeah, Janine Perrot's gonna be a judge. Yeah, right. She'll make it 5 minutes. Then he's gonna try to get cases reassigned to her. Hey, and one of the things that I would suggest that you do is you don't use people that you don't know very well for content. Okay? You heard what I said. Virginia teenager shot and killed by homeowner while recording TikTok prank video. They were doing a ding dong ditch prank for TikTok when a neighbor opened fire. Oh yeah, I did see. By the way, did you see? Donald Trump said they should go. The DOJ should go after Aaron Parnas. I wanted. Hey, listen. A lot of people have been talking about Aaron forever, right? He's become wildly popular. I just want you to know that is Lev Parnas's fucking son. That is one of Donald Trump's former closest aides. And again, yeah. So one, they're absolutely giving Aaron Parnas the floor. Like his reach is ever expanding. He's in danger. She's gonna wear bags of wine under her robe as a judge. She's gonna be a judge. She's gonna get a TV show. Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't want. Why would Donald Trump want to get rid of Aaron Parnas, who talks about Donald Trump all the time, and he has completely normalized Donald Trump. Like when he talks about it, he talks about it with the same fervor that he does everything else. There's no change in fucking tone because it's just like he's just telling you what's going on. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was gonna say they're gonna give Janine Pirro like a TV show, and she only gets like low level crime. Have you seen From Russia with Lev the movie? No. No. Hey, shout out to Maine for banning um, child marriage. I'm proud of you, everybody. Way to go. Got to be 18 to get hitched in the great state of Maine. It says raising legal age of marriage to 18. I say banning child marriage. Tomato, tomato. Denver police promote Start by Believing campaign during Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Holy shit. I'm just shocked that it's something actually positive. Bob with the comedy, yeah. Bob's invaluable. And again, I'll never get tired of this. Never get tired of this. Latina who voted for Trump bursts into tears after learning her entire family is going to be deported. You know, I called them the leopard eating face party that eats leopard faces. Memenheiser said, "When are you back on TikTok?" When is today? Today's the 9th. Monday morning, the 12th, which is my 6 months. So I got banned. By the way, thank you for reminding me, Memeheiser. In one of my prouder moments in life, I got banned from TikTok for a week for saying racism is bad, and telling people that we're all related. If you go back far enough, like up your family tree and shit, we're related. You and I, we don't know each other. Cousins. Don't ask me for money. Cousins. So think about that. Even if you don't look like me, even if you're a black person, and look how pale ass white I am, right? Burns are healing up pretty nice. Got it. Take care of yourselves, people. Okay. So I want you to know, like, the people that absolutely do not look like me, we're cousins. I'll fight you over that. Okay. And I just happen to think, when does the do what? Gabby, it ends on the 11th, so it ends on Sunday. But on Monday morning, I don't know. I don't. Maybe Sunday's show will be a little later, so we could be on. Hmm. That's my address. I figure this is about the smallest group of people that I could give it to and not feel like I'm gonna get murdered. I forgot to send it to Bob, I think, but that's my address. And I'm wondering immediately as I give you my address, which I'm pretty sure you can just Google. And I literally used to own a business. You know what I mean? I own Bizarre Grind Coffee and Games. So I don't know if we ever talked about this, but if a lot of things had gone differently, we may have never met. Um, I when I came home from the Marine Corps, I had money, I had friends and shit, but I realized pretty quickly that I was just blowing my money drinking, and I wasn't. I had like no plan, right? And I found Magic the Gathering, and I played Magic the Gathering for competitively for a long time. It's great. It's like playing chess, except there's a lot more to do. Um, and anyway, I know you guys don't care about this shit, but after about a decade, I was standing in a card shop one night, and a guy walked up to me and was like, "Hey, I've heard tale of your legend, and I want to invest in a card shop that you own." And that person's name was Manny, and they gave me Manny Lagme, only person ever believe in me, gave me $20,000, and we were doing the damn thing, okay? And it takes money to make money, okay? So yeah, he gave me $20,000 and we spent it on merch. We spent money on merch and we got coffee and we went to events to grow our brand. You know, we'd sit at big tables, 20, 30 people, have everybody following our social medias. We were doing it fucking right, right? We were going to great coffee shops in the Indianapolis area to get a judge of our competition. We were blowing everybody away. It wasn't even fucking close. Okay. Don't judge my property too harshly. I need a high pressure blower slash water sprayer slash cleaner, and so I can clean my property. Don't judge me too harshly. I'm clearly disabled. You can see there's like a lot of not a lot of scrubbing going on my fucking brick. You know what I mean? I can not use my right arm. So I need to clean out my gutters. I need to hire someone to get on my roof and cut a branch on my roof that's hanging over my roof. My neighbor already came over and fixed the roof on my front yard. But anyway, so yeah, I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh, I was going to start a business. So, what I realized is the problem with most card shops when you go to them is that once you get done doing the thing, you're done. They don't have anything else. The most card shops that I ever went to, the best they were doing was bottled soda and bagged snacks and candy, right? It was about as good as it ever got. I'd been in a card shop, by the way. I'm trying to remember where it is, where they served hot pretzels. It was fucking I was like, "Oh my god, I would live here." Like, yes, they still had fucking bottled soda and shit, but they had hot fucking pretzels. I would live at that shop, right? And so when you get to build your own and you're like trying to figure out what thing do people buy that if it's good enough they'll just sit the fuck down and do it. Coffee. Dead ass. Coffee. It makes people linger. If your coffee, if it smells that good, yeah, right. I do. I need to be. I wish I was a little bit smaller, like several inches and 100 pounds. That would be fantastic. I'd jump on my roof in a heartbeat. I'm not, right? But yeah, if your coffee's good enough, if your place smells good enough, people will just sit and enjoy what people watching, right? And I also tried to figure out, okay, so if you're think about like a coffee shop. If your coffee's good enough, the ambiance is pretty good, people would just sit and chill, drink their coffee, right? And that's what you want. You want people buying something from you. Yep. Buy something from me, sit down, and then if I'm people watching, what do I want to watch people do? Oh, I don't know about you, but there are two things that I want to watch people do: play high level magic, play games they don't know how to play, and well, there's three. And I also want to watch people play Warhammer and any of those tabletop games, especially if they're in a time crunch and they got to like hurry and set it up and then hurry up through the game. It's much better when it's fast forwarded. And also, when you're people watching and people are playing D&D, fucking incredible. So, I knew we're going to have a big space, right? Because you're going to want to cater to your coffee drinkers, you're going to want to cater to your gamers, okay? And they're going to need space, right? So they could be separate but in the same room, right? And oh yeah. And so our coffee, for the record, my wife and I, we tried to do business locally here in Indianapolis. And again, I don't want to get into the habit of like talking shit on local business, but the coffee makers we found in Indianapolis, they didn't want to fuck with us. They have contracts with hotels. What the fuck they care about your little single stall fucking card shop? That's kind of the attitude I got locally. So I did what any red-blooded American would do, and I said, "Fuck Indianapolis. I'm going to Oregon. I'll go to the Gold Coast and get some of the best coffee in the world." Okay? And so what I did is we took that investment that we got, and my wife and I flew to Portland, to Oregon, and we spent a week in Newberg, Oregon, and we worked with a saint who wined and dined us, took us to all these awesome fucking restaurants and coffee shops that served their coffee, and we had caravan coffee at every place we went served caravan. And so not only did we eat on their dime, but we also were drinking their fucking dude. I was zooted. I was so goddamn hyper. All the whole 4 fucking days I was there, my teeth were chattering. Okay, real fucking coffee. Okay, but they taught us how to make coffee. They showed us all the applique, right? Like this is how you apply coffee. And you were just like, because you were learning so. I've taken notes everywhere we go about food pairing, like cinnamon and carrot with coffee. Is I didn't, who fucking knew, right? Oh my god, my wife was like blown the fuck away. Like, imagine taking your wife along with you, and she has no fucking clue what is about to happen. And we got wined and fucking dined for a week and bought our own coffee. We got to make our own coffees. So they were copycat of already highly reproduced and loved coffees. But what we did was we looked at the flavor profile of a light, medium, and dark roast coffee. And then we just said, what is the most popular? And then there's got to be some alternate flavor within dark, medium, and light roast that is like the nut pairing, like a think of like a fruit or a nut. And so what we came away with was we had our own light, medium, and dark roast that all had unique taste. Like our dark roast was black cherry. So um we hosted tasting parties. So we had all our family and friends come to our house. We hosted parties. We made our coffees. We showed them like you just make your coffee from home. Here, here's great fucking coffee. So for the record, I have not. We have not been to Starbucks. We just the in my opinion the best tasting coffee right now is Tim Hortons. Right now. Hmm. But I'm like coffee is my shit. And coffee, the thing about it is, what was crazy, we didn't open Bizarre Grind because of COVID. You're welcome. We were in a contract to take over every family video in the United States, and if you think me sitting here yapping about it and it wasn't gonna fucking work, you're out of your fucking mind. We would have made a zillion motherfucking dollars, but we would have a body count, and I'm just not about that. Know what I mean? I'm trying to. You might not believe this, kids. I know. I sound like a hard ass. I know I sound like a hard ass. I'm trying to get through life with a zero body count. I know, isn't that crazy? I'm trying to go through a whole playthrough. He was a positive influence. Yeah. He wasn't a capitalist that was like me and my power over what's best for all of you, right? Because we were in conversations. Caravan, Caravan Coffee. You ought to check them out. I recommend doing business with them. Okay, so 100%, 100% would have made a killing, and have not ever woken up one day and regretted it. Not at all. Hmm. In fact, every now and then, someone that I care about reaches out to me and they're like, "Thank you for not doing that." Yep. Because, like I said, COVID hit. In fact, I was sitting in front of the business that I was basically going to have to tear down and rebuild in order to put in my location. And we backed all the way out of all that. Hell no, I'm not doing that. I don't want blood on my hands. So that's why I recommend everybody protest, boycott, and strike. Because when you're violent, there's attrition involved. Yeah, that's what I've told my wife, to make sure that we have plenty of coffee, creamer, because you got to have your creamer. If you don't have your creamer, it's just a total waste. Coffee and creamer, and then I do Planet Oat caramel, the yellow Planet Oat, or I think it's gold. Okay. The best coffee you'll ever make is whole bean that you grind yourself. You can buy an electric grinder. Okay. But again, ground black Tim Hortons red bag. Thank me later. It's a brain-free decision. I'm just letting you know now. You can keep getting into a fight in your coffee aisle, or you can listen to your boy. Tim Hortons, Tim Hortons, red bag. Solved. We have solved for coffee for now. I will let you know if there's something else. Okay? So anyway, there's a little bit of Eat the Rich in the comments there. Appreciate everybody. Couple more days, we back on TikTok yelling at bigots. So enjoy the. I feel like the smaller shows are better. More intimate. Not when you have an electric grinder and it just smells like. Anyway, have a good rest of your day. Have a great Friday.